Recently, I had a friend reach out to me. He's a regular, he's one of my Reiki clients, Reiki students. He's learnt with me, and he regularly checks in for distant healings. And I think it was a week or two ago, he asked me for a distant healing while he's away working, because he's got really, really sore eyes and it was really affecting him. And so I did my usual kind of chakra balancing, and kind of checked a few other things, kicked out bad juju, like negative entities, negative thought forms, intrusive energies, that kind of stuff. And then I focused on what else his body needed, with a specific goal being to heal his eyes, or at least reduce the pain in his eyes. And what I found was really interesting. So there were lots of stress webs around his eyes, which are like energetic cobwebs that can wrap around the body, and they keep our body locked down in a pattern of stress. And that can affect many things. I also had to restructure his eyeballs as well. So organ restructuring is something that I do that comes up every now and again. And then I found 2 astral objects in his energy field. Now, you've got 7 different layers to your energy field, and the 4th layer is your astral layer. And within that layer can be what's called astral objects, and they might be connected to how something to do with a past life. Sometimes, often, connected to how they died in a past life, but sometimes they're to do with this lifetime, right? So, and an example of that would be, you know, when you've broken up with someone and you're absolutely heartbroken. Often, then I would find a dagger, an energetic dagger in someone's heart to be removed. With this particular guy, what I found was in his left eye, there was a 6-inch dagger, which was stabbing him through his left eye. And that was connected to how he died or was killed in a past life. And then in the other eye, so his right eye, I found a chopstick. So a chopstick, that's quite a random thing to come up. It's not something that I've ever seen before. And I tuned into more information around it. And it did happen in a past life. It wasn't connected to someone else doing it to him. He was simply clumsy, tripped, fell, and then landed in a way where the chopstick actually dug into his eye, essentially. He didn't die from it, but he experienced a lot of eye issues after that. So I after the general balancing and removal of all those objects, and then kind of reworking his energy field so it was tip-top by the time we finished, I then sent him a couple of messages in the week that followed, just to check in and see how he was going. The first day, I think it was the day after, he was feeling much, much better, but his eyes were still a little bit sore. And then 2 days after that, I checked in with him, and he was like, yeah, I'm feeling really, really good. So I love this process because it's so interesting to see what comes up in people's energy fields around astral objects, that it doesn't always come up in sessions. But things that I found, daggers seem to be a pretty common thing that I find especially attached to the heart. So that could be related to how someone died in a past life, but it could also be linked to more emotional pain stuff, either from this lifetime or another lifetime. What else have I found? I found a big long spear in people. So when I kind of look into those spears, it almost seems like the old, the Aboriginal hunting spears. They're really, really, really long. And they get flung at a massive amount of speed. I've found them in people's chests, in their throats, in their heads, in their knees. And usually they're getting some kind of physical issue in those areas where that astral object is in or attached to. Other things I found, occasionally I find like either chains or like a choker type thing, the metal locked choker around people's necks, which is stopping them from speaking their truth in this lifetime. I found a cannonball once. I think I was working on my dad, and he has a disorder called cervical dystonia, which means that his brain tells his neck to move in a certain direction, which is kind of always twisting around to one side. And what was interesting was I found it almost looked like a cannonball, that kind of shape around his right ear or shoulder area, and his head tends to kind of tilt to the other side. So I found that pretty interesting. So all kinds of really interesting things can come up when you're doing psychic surgery techniques, and it can have massive, massive impact and massive shifts in helping you move forward in your own life and whatever you're stuck with. So with distant healings and in-person healings as well, we can get very specific on certain goals that you want to work on rather than just doing a generic balancing. or we can work on whatever your body most needs at the time. So if you feel like you're interested in talking to me about a session, I do them globally, so we can do distant healing wherever you are in the world. And that includes a very comprehensive distant healing report. It's usually 5 or 6 pages, giving you the exact debrief as to everything that I found. And I do a card reading with that as well. And then I also do in-person sessions where we can kind of really get stuck into it in a in-person one-on-one way. So if any of that resonates for you and you're interested to find out more, then comment info below this video and or hit reply on the email if you're getting an email, and let's chat about booking you in. All right, guys, have a great day.